everyone, my name is Dr. Pastore, and today I'm going to talk about, basically just talk about my week. I'm going to talk about my week, try to do this, on and off, and just kind of talk about things that a professor does, since a lot of people are kind of curious about what we do and they're not really sure. I mean, people just assume that I teach classes and that's it. Well, I'm currently on what's called summer break. We don't even start classes for another few weeks yet. Let me talk about what I've been doing. I won't talk really about what I've been doing all summer, but I'll more or less just start from this week and kind of try to do this once a week and kind of talk about all the stuff I've been doing this week. So I did teach this summer, which means that I did have to finish up classes. So this week, in the beginning of the week, I actually finished up my classes. So I had to, respond to a bunch of emails and actually grade 2 classes, which took about 2 days to grade all my classes. So that does take a lot of time. So I finished up my grading, got my final grades in, which takes a long time. Students who do really well, it's really easy to grade their work. I mean, a professor can tell seriously, I can look at an assignment and I can tell in 30 seconds if the student did everything or not. Because when they don't, they're glaring errors. Now, what my students hand in are all projects. I don't really have them do papers. If I did papers, you have to read them, and that takes a little more time. A project, I can kind of see, like, are the components there or not. It's very clear when they're not. So my good students, you guys make our lives so easy when you're good, when you do everything correctly. But it's the students who don't really want to put in effort that can kind of make it challenging, because you really have to spend time critiquing and grading them. And sometimes I contact them and try to meet with them to see, like, kind of what was going on, what was going through their head, because it's challenging when they're not putting their full effort in. Sometimes you find that they're having, personal problems or problems at work, or their schedule just isn't working out well, and you can kind of help them with that. So it's always good to do that stuff. But I'm glad both of my summer courses, the students did really well. You guys are awesome. My students are really cool sometimes. They did really good work. I was happy with their projects. But anyway, done grading. So now on to the next thing. What am I doing? What am I working on? Well, I have classes starting in, 3 to 4 weeks from now. So it sounds like, oh, that's great. I don't start classes for 3 weeks. No, or 4 weeks. It's a month. No, it's not great, because that means I only have 4 weeks to prepare for my classes, because I just finished my other one. So if any of you have taught before, you understand this, but those of you that haven't, it takes forever to prep a class. It takes a really, really long time. So what I try to do is, I know every faculty member works differently. I try to have all my classes prepped before I start the semester. That way, during the semester, I'm going to get too busy working on all this other stuff. A lot of people think teaching is what a professor does, but it's really, really like 20 to 30% of your job. So, I have to really spend a lot of time prepping my classes. So what does prep even mean? What does that mean, me prepping my classes? First of all, I'm going through all the texts. I have a bunch of texts sitting at my desk right now that I'm reading through. I'm developing PowerPoints. And I'm not just developing like boring PowerPoints. I have to make them like good. Like there has to be videos and images, and they can't just be like a bunch of text on a screen so I can sit there and lecture. It's a lot of stuff. But I have to go through the books, and I have to go through and read what are the latest research articles saying, what's happening in business and industry. I have to talk to my friends out there and find out, hey, what's changed? What are you guys doing now? What's happening? Because I don't teach classes that are very stagnant. A lot of my I'm an instructional technology professor, so things are changing so fast. So I got to prep my classes. I teach a lot of online classes, which are so much more work than face-to-face. Because I try to really build my courses nicely. I create a lot of videos where I'm talking and teaching to the students, and those take forever. I have to make sure I have the software. I have to make sure my mic is set up correctly. I have to make sure everything is good to make those videos for my students, and I can't just reuse the same videos. Every once in a while I get lucky and I can, but usually I'm creating new videos, and that takes a long time. It takes a lot out of your voice, especially because I'm trying to get it all done before the semester starts. Then I'm starting to get all the meeting requests, because we go back on contract, so I haven't had a lot of meetings right now. But we have tons and tons and tons of meetings. So I'm getting all these meeting requests. So meetings are starting to fill in my inbox. So my first 3 to 4 weeks of my semester, I'm not going to have any free time. I'm going to be sitting in meetings. So I'm starting to prepare for that. I got to prepare mentally for all this too, because right now is my work time. Like summer's not, oh, go party because I'm off for 2 months. I'm not off for 2 months. 2 months is when I can catch up on my work because I have to do all the other things I'm required. So I have to get a certain number of publications a year done. I mean, so I am, in the process of that. I just got some feedback back from a publication yesterday. When I write a publication, sometimes it's back and forth between the editor and reviewers and myself like 3 to 4 times. So I spend hours, weeks writing a paper, send it to reviewers, don't see it for 6 months, get it back with comments. I haven't written the paper for 6 months, so I'm forgetting everything I did, and I have to respond to all this feedback in it, and it takes a lot of time. So I have to go back and pull up my notes and remember what I was doing and rewrite portions of the paper again, and that takes a lot of time. And they always send you that at like the worst possible time. So of course they just sent it to me this week, which means it's the beginning of the semester. I'm working on prep right now, so I have to do that. Next thing I have to do is, I'm a program coordinator of my program. So what does that mean? That means that I have to respond to student emails and work with our new students. So I do a lot of advising to, if a student is interested in my program, they talk to me. If a student is new to the program, they also talk to me because I advise them. So I have to kind of, tell everyone why my field, what are the advantages and disadvantages of my field, my program, and that's talking to a lot of students. So let's say we get 20 students that come in this semester. I probably talked to 50 students. So that's 50 meetings that I probably had this summer for my fall semester. So you start to think about that. That's 50 students. And then the students who are coming, I meet with them to, we plan out what they're going to do. I have to really, spend a lot of time and think about each individual student. I want to find out who they are, what they're doing, what their work-life balance is like. Because my students are all grad students. So they all have families, they're all working full-time. So I really want to make sure I can meet their goals. And that takes a lot of time and effort to really come up with a plan for them. So I want to make sure they get the most out of my program and being here, and that when they leave here, they think of my program and myself as someone who really helped them out. And so that takes a lot of time and effort. So when we talk about teaching, a lot of people just think a professor just does teaching. It's really a lot more than that. It's a lot of different things combined. It keeps you really busy. I will say the one cool thing about my schedule, especially in the summer, is that it's my schedule. So yes, I have a lot of work to do, and the thing is, though, it's my schedule. So if I decide, yesterday morning I went surfing for 2 hours in the morning and came back and then worked. And I'm able to do that because it's my time, it's my schedule. I didn't have any meetings, so I was able to do that. But I can't always do that kind of stuff. Every once in a while I try to throw it in. And I need to for a good mental break anyway. So yeah, just chugging along here, trying to get my semester prepped. It is a lot of work to get back and come into things. I worked in corporate for a number of years before I moved into higher ed as a faculty member. And I will say the workload is the same. There were times when I was in corporate where I was working 60 to 80 hours a week. There were times where I was working 35 hours a week. It just depended if I was real busy or not real busy. Same thing as being a professor. There are times I'm working I'd say most of the summer I try to cut my hours down to more like 30, 35 hours a week. During the school year, it's easily 60 hours a week as soon as that semester starts up. So it's not like a lot of breaks, but there are the busy and not busy periods, just like any other job. So that's kind of what this week has been like for me as a professor. We're at the end of my week right now, so I'm kind of finishing up some stuff. My plan for today is to really just continue to prep for my courses. Of course, my university, so you get all these little things from the university. So we're switching learning management systems. For those of you that don't know what that is, that means that we are switching from, we use Blackboard to host all of our courses, and now we're using Canvas. So I have to take all my courses from Blackboard and transition them from Canvas. I'm not quite sure how to do that without just redoing the whole thing. So I have to like spend time just teaching myself how to use this new learning management system, because we don't really have support yet. It's not going to start till the fall, but I'm trying to use this for the fall. So I can't wait for that support to come. So I have to kind of figure it out myself. At least I'm tech oriented, so I can do that. You know, faculty that aren't tech oriented, they are just kind of lost until they get that training. But that is going to eat up so much of my time just making that switch. You know, it's a lot of work to try to figure all that out. So, you know, there's just so much that goes into the job, and, you know, that's about my week. So the rest of my day is probably going to be spent just trying to figure that out. Just spending time in the new LMS, trying to figure out how to make that transition, maybe work on some activities, some things for my upcoming classes. Thank you.